Ooh, this is fun. Hi, hello, and welcome to my first of many lives around the topic of sensitive assumptions and or mental health. So first, I want to say thank you for joining me. If you don't know who I am, if this is the first time you're discovering me, I'm that Kimberly, or as my mother says, Kimberly Dawn Scott. I wanted to jump on here and share a little story with everyone because I haven't been on here in a while, and this is very much my normal. So I'm not using my normal StreamYard software, so bear with me. I am going live on Insta, so thank you everyone on Instagram for joining me, as well as the YouTube. And I will hopefully edit this a little bit later once I'm done. But hello, Marilyn. Hello, Diana. Thank you all. So I wanted to give first a big, huge, humongous thank you to anyone and everyone that helped me get back to my mama. It was almost 3 weeks to this day that I got back to El Paso after spending a 2-week stint in a behavioral unit in Fort Worth. So big shout out and thank you. So much love to Janet and Diana, Nicole, Amanda, Deborah, Leah, Jessica, Ella, Mike, Shane, Alice, and to the number of other people that I might have missed but did not forget for just loving me where I'm at. Along with, of course, my family that moved my entire apartment into my mom and I's new house. So that was a lot. And that also caused me a lot of distress, but I just dealt with it. So, sorry, YouTube, I'm adjusting the camera while I'm trying to talk to Instagram at the same time. Kind of funny. So, yeah, so it was 3 weeks that I was admitted. And what I learned from that experience was that our healthcare system is very, very broken. And I'm going to do my best to stay away from how I was treated in the hospital. I'll touch on that later, but I want to focus on the things that I learned and then go back on later lives throughout over the next couple of weeks and dissecting each of the topics in the conversation and answering any questions that might come up. What I learned is that our healthcare system is broken and that I will not be going back to emergency detention ever again. Not even knock on wood, I'm saying this. I'm putting it in recording so that way someone can come back and remind me if it does happen, but it won't. Because I'm going to do all the things that I need to do to stay in the right space and the right frame of mind. Because mental health is a real thing. It matters. And unlike I was taught, because, growing up, I'm a next generation. I am Hispanic. I'm a Latina, but I'm also very white Caucasian. I got the last name Scott from my father. Mental health is an everyday practice. It is one that I was neglecting, even though I kept preaching that we should be taking care of ourselves so we can take care of others. I definitely was not practicing it every single day. Mental health is like exercising. It's like learning to ride a bike. It's like you have to do it every single day if you weren't used to doing it on a regular. So I now know that what the things I need to do to keep my mental health in order, to be able to maintain my standard way of life, my normalcy, as well as be able to do all the things I need to do to be able to take care of my mom. So many huge lessons that I learned that we're going to be putting in a documentary that I'm super excited about. So stay tuned for that. But I know that just like physical health, exercising every single day, I have to continue to work on all the things as it relates to my mental health. Because being a family caregiver is a huge amount of stress and strain, just like becoming a new parent. That's the best thing I can liken to, is becoming a new parent and what that looks like. So, hey kids, when you take on your parents' health because they can no longer care for themselves, it is super stressful, because I'm managing my own life as well as someone else's, and I want to do all the right things, and nobody's perfect. And I'm not perfect. And I've definitely messed up a couple times, several times. So that 2 week stint in the hospital was a huge reminder that I wasn't practicing mental health practices every single day so that I could be healthy to be able to take care of my mama. So I definitely had a lot of conflict with the doctors that were in this hospital that I was put into. And that will be something that we can talk about later. But on the high point, they just didn't want to collaborate with my therapist that I've been seeing for 2 years, my psychiatrist I'd already been talking to for over a year. Nobody wanted to talk to each other. So another reason why our system is broke, because doctors don't want to talk to each other, and you are your biggest advocate. You have to do all the research. You have to figure out what is right for your brain, because that's what I had to do. I had to figure out what was going on, why I was having panic attacks, why I was so upset at certain things that were I just wouldn't normally get upset about. And it's definitely been a journey. I'm still working on it. I'm not out of the woods yet, but I'm in a so much better space now because I'm back to some normalcy. And I documented everything, in the hospital. That have this huge, like I was coloring, I was taking notes, I was doing all the things after fighting the system for over 5 days. When I stopped fighting the system, I then started to get into a better state of mind where I knew that I could get back to my mom. So it was definitely a journey, and one that I'm excited to talk about, because that's the way I heal. When I'm able to talk about life experiences that are real and life experiences that I can share and give a better look into, so that others might be able to take something from it and learn as well, so they don't have to go through that same very bad experience, like I did. So yeah, so April the 19th, I woke up in the emergency room at behavioral health unit in Fort Worth. I was super frustrated, pissed off. I remembered why I was there or how I got there, but I didn't remember getting the EMS ride from the hotel where I passed out in the shower at the downtown Sheraton. I did not remember once I got into the ambulance. After that, it was all black. They gave me emergency medicine, and that's why they call it that, because I was out. So for the first several days, I was just trying to figure out why and why I wasn't being processed and what was going on. And I didn't listen to anyone. I wasn't listening to the recommendations because they weren't listening to me. So it was not a good situation, kids. I did learn that I should read my documentations, my doctor's visits, my notes. I should stay up to date on that. And if I had read when my true diagnosis that I got last summer from Amen Clinics, which would have told me, and I could have expressed that to the doctors in this behavioral unit, that I have disruptive mood dysregulation disorder. Now say that really fast, 10 times. No, not really. Don't do that because it's hard. But it's a condition that both children and adolescents, us adults, I'm almost 50, experience ongoing irritability, anger, and frequent intense temperature outbursts. So I basically, it's more than just a bad mood. I get very agitated and almost have to hold my tongue from blowing up in a severe way when I am approached by stupid people. I shouldn't say that, but just people that I'm not giving grace and patience to, which is bad. And I don't recommend that. I'm very self-aware that I do this. So I have to take more deep breaths. I have to drink more cold water. I have to do more breathing techniques and stay on the prescribed medications that these doctors have put me on, which we'll talk about in another episode. But I have to do that now. I have to continue to do that. I should have slowed down and read the emergency detention order that they had handed to me when I was in transit. And I didn't. Bad. Shame on me. But if I had slowed down and done deep breaths, I think it would have gone differently, But I do know that I was put into that hospital at that time for so many reasons, so I could better understand our healthcare system and how and why it's broke. I can better understand how I can advocate for myself, because you, as the human that's being treated, your body, your brain is different than everyone else's, and you are your biggest advocate. So I encourage people to do their research and get second opinions. There's nothing wrong. I wasn't raised to get a second opinion by doctors. If a doctor told you it was whatever it was, then you were supposed to believe them. And we don't have to do that anymore. We can get second opinions on top of doing your research, not just on the Google, kids. I'm joking with you, but really the Google. Not everything you read on the internet is true. However, you can deep dive into documents, books, other research, to better educate yourself. And that's what I started doing during COVID, during my first stint in emergency detention, which we'll go into later because we're just talking about this episode, which the first stint was, we're all a little something during COVID. I just happened to, the hair that broke the camel's back, I think that's what it's called, happened during COVID. So anywho, so another thing I learned while in emergency detention: slow down, read your documents, listen first before speaking. I'm still working on that every single day, but it is a true effort on my part, because my brain works so fast. I am ADD. I am not bipolar, but I have a disorder of severe outbreaks. Like disruptive mood dysregulation disorder is what I was diagnosed with almost a year and a half ago. And because I didn't read the final diagnosis, it was like 10 pages. And I just listened to, I wasn't bipolar. I didn't have Alzheimer's, because those were the reasons I was going into Amen clinics to get my brain spec scanned, which is not a standard practice of psychiatry, but is a real thing. Look it up, kids. Amen clinics, it's a real place. They've been around or Dr. Amen has been around for over 30 plus years. And this is not a commercial for him, but it's just a second opinion. A second opinion. There's nothing wrong with getting educated and getting a second opinion. And that's what I had done. I had gotten not just a second and third opinion. Amen Clinics was my fourth opinion. The first time I was put into emergency detention because I was so pissed off at someone in my life that I had never been able to speak my mind to. So I now, after the second time in emergency detention, a behavioral health unit that's called the psych ward, kids, for you in the back who have never been in one. It's a scary place. I wasn't scared this time because I knew where I was at. I knew what was going on. I knew why I was there. I knew that it was my own fault for being placed there because I didn't slow down. I didn't take the deep breaths. I didn't do all the things that I had been preaching for other people to do. And it was my fault. It's, I, of course, in the beginning, there was some shame because there were so many people that had to help me get to where I needed to be. And I hated that. My family had to move my entire life by themselves without me there. And I am not that person. I'm the person who shows up to help you move. I'm not the person that leaves the move for you. So there was a lot of things going on top of the fact I hadn't seen my mom, like I was going to be away from my mom. They were keeping me in this hospital. I had to go to trial because they were trying to commit me for another 90 days, which was super scary. But when I realized after the 5th or 6th day of me not going to be getting out anytime soon, and no matter how many people I called or how many things that I tried, I had to slow down and I had to listen to what these doctors that I didn't agree with in the moment, I had to compromise. And then I could get out and get back to the doctors that I was used to seeing that could collaborate with me and for me, because you're your biggest advocate when it comes to anything, whether it's cancer, Alzheimer's, depression, anxiety, all that mental health, like whatever it is under the mental health umbrella, you are your biggest advocate, and you need to get educated, because this is what this second time in emergency detention did for me. It helped me get super educated. And I'm not perfect, and I'm sure it's not going to be an easy journey, but I am just grateful that God and the universe all came together with many great people outside of emergency detention as well as inside emergency detention. I met some really interesting people, some cool friends, that I will stay connected with, because we had a grippy sock vacay together, and we'll go into that later. But it is something that I want to express. I want to stand up and I want to share with people that mental health is a real thing. And there's so many people that suffer in silence, especially those that are caring for a family loved one that is suffering with some sort of cognitive disease or even cancer, or you name it. But for me, hits home because I am a family caregiver to my mother, who has had dementia for over 12 years now. And dementia means memory loss, and it is a symptom of 100 other diseases, cognitive diseases that you could easily have, and you can regain your memory back. It doesn't necessarily mean Alzheimer's, but dementia, you could have Lewy body's dementia, you can have frontal lobe dementia. Alzheimer's is the end result. But dementia means memory loss. And because I was having to juggle my life as well as my mom's life, I wasn't doing a very good job, and it put me in the hospital. So, I know I need to be better. I need to practice all the things that I've learned from, the first time I started therapy in my 30s. I kept telling the young ladies in the hospital unit with me that if I had started therapy when I was in my 20s like them, that I wouldn't be in the emergency detention for the second time. And I wasn't going to jail, so I wasn't going to be fighting anybody over anything in this psychiatric ward, because there were plenty of fights that had nothing to do with me that occurred that I saw. And that was traumatizing in itself. But at 50, it was nothing. The girls that were younger than me seemed to be very much traumatized, which why would you not be if you weren't used to seeing that type of violence? So sometimes it's not about you. And this time it was about me. But it was also about getting back to my mom. And that meant getting better so that I could take care of myself and then take care of her. I also know now that I need to do better and be better now that I have learned from this experience. And I'm going to be documenting this here on social as much as I possibly can, taking it, week by week, conversation by conversation around this journey, because it happened. I'm not going to pretend like it didn't happen by not talking about it, by not answering people's questions if they have them. I'm going to be the one telling the story, not someone else. And yes, I messed up. Nobody's perfect. And I am grateful that I have amazing family and amazing friends that were there to catch me. And I'm not expecting that to happen every time, but I'm just grateful that it happened this time. I'm grateful that I know that, like my dad said, I am my mother's daughter and I'm protected by God. And I just kept reminding myself of that, as well as no weapon formed against us shall prosper. Shout out. So I just wanted to share that with you all. And if you have questions, please, please, please leave them in the comments for me. I'm hoping that I will be able to figure out StreamYard with Instagram so I can just go live consecutively. Otherwise, there'll be a little bit delay in this conversation, but I'm not going to stop talking about mental health. And I'm going to start with mine and this journey, because the only way that I can be better is do better now. Now that I know better, I am going to do better, and I'm not going to do the way I was taught, and that was be quiet about it and don't say anything about it and just tiptoe around it. I'm not going to do that. That's not me. as everybody knows, I'm a walking billboard for something. And this time, if it has to be around mental health, I'm happy to be that walking billboard. So thank you everyone on Instagram for joining me on the YouTube. Thank you. If you just coming across right now, please watch this replay. Let me know what you thought. If you have a question about mental health as it relates to bipolar and why I was diagnosed that in the first place, or the disruptive mood dysregulation disorder that I really was diagnosed with almost a year and a half ago that I didn't even know because I didn't read my documents. Bad Kimberly. Please ask. And I'll be diving more into the medical system and how I feel it's broken based on the stent I took in the JPS unit in Tarrant County. So thanks again, everyone, and have a blessed day.